Thank you all for coming. I'm joined by Council President Miguel A. Melendez, Council Vice President Lachey D. Harris, as well as Chief of the Rochester Police Department, David Smith. I want to thank you all for coming here so quickly, but I think that, as you know, a hallmark of my administration has been transparency. And when I get information from community members or others, I like to make sure that we bring it to the forefront immediately. And today I learned of information that I want to bring to the community's attention in light of the conversations and the actions that have been taking place in cities across America as it relates to immigration enforcement. On Monday, March 24th, the Rochester Police Department received an emergency request for backup at the scene of a traffic stop on Whitney Street in the city of Rochester. The requesting agency was the Federal Office of Homeland Security, HSI, also referred to as Border Patrol. Requests like this for backup sometimes happen sometimes when other law enforcement agencies feel the scene is unsafe for themselves or others. RPD responds to these scenes to ensure the locations remain safe. But I want to be clear, and the chief will speak to this in a second. I want to be unequivocally clear. As the executive of the city of Rochester, it is our jobs to make sure that we follow our policies. And our policy clearly states that the Rochester Police Department is not responsible for and does not engage in enforcement of immigration laws, does not perform the functions of federal immigration officers, and does not assist any federal officers in the enforcement of immigration laws. These are federal functions, not city functions. So based on my preliminary review of this incident, the officer who responded to the scene may have violated and appears to have violated city policy. The officers on the scene were verbally directed the occupants to get out of the vehicle. And this is against our policy. I learned of this incident from a community member who called my office. I then called the chief to have him look into this matter. And I'm thankful for the community member who brought this to our attention. But I just want to reiterate, this will be under investigation. I'll turn this over to the chief in a second, but our policy is clear. Our policy is crystal clear. City police officers do not help or participate in federal immigration activities. Every RPT officer, I've instructed the chief to make sure that every RPD officer receive more training on General Order 502 to ensure that all members are fully aware and fully understand this policy. Obviously, this is new information. This just happened, but I wanted to make sure that we put this information out in the public, because I'm sure that there will be talk in the community of people who may have witnessed this and seen this. I want to thank the community member that came forward. As you know, the mayor's office gets tips and phone calls all the time, and I think that it is a reflection of my office's constituent services in which people know they can call us. And this was just a community member that called us and wanted us to look into it. But we look into every matter that comes into the mayor's office, and I want to thank the chief for jumping on this and addressing this as soon as possible. I want to turn it over to the chief to say a few words. Again, this is very early, preliminary in the investigation, but I'll turn it over to the chief. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor said yesterday, I was made aware of an incident that occurred on Monday night when our officers were urgently called to assist Border Patrol. Being a police agency in a sanctuary city, our mission is twofold: ensuring both the safety of fellow law enforcement officers, while at the same time ensuring that we uphold the tenets of being a sanctuary city and protecting the rights of all. So I've been going over the body-worn camera video. Again, this is preliminary, as the mayor said, but I will give you some more factual information as I know it. I have ordered an internal investigation. Obviously, that will take time, but in the interest of being transparent, I will go over what we have seen and what we have done so far. So Monday night at approximately 5:37 p.m., RPD officers did observe some officers in Border Patrol uniforms that had a van stopped on Lyell Avenue near Whitney Street. The RPD officers drove by. Everything seemed to be fine. They did not stop as per our policies. There seemed to be no need for Border Patrol to be in need of our assistance. This occurred several times, and they were there for over 20 minutes with this van. At approximately 6:03, the Border Patrol dispatcher contacted the Monroe County 911 Center and requested an emergency response for the Border Patrol officers on Lyell Avenue. The 911 Center asked specifically, are you requiring an emergency response? And they said, yes, we would like an emergency response. RPD cars were then dispatched. The first RPD supervisor arrived at 6:05 p.m. Immediately upon arriving, the supervisor canceled the emergency response based on what he saw from the situation. From watching the body-worn camera footage, what is concerning to me is, despite the fact that we were called, we went lights and siren, I see in the video a total lack of urgency on the part of multiple Border Patrol officers at the scene. What is also very concerning is that RPD officers, when out of view of the supervisor who was on scene, do initiate contact with occupants of the vehicle while Border Patrol stands by, when in reality they should be initiating contact. We should be there ensuring their safety. The body-worn camera does depict the RPD supervisor on scene giving specific directions to RPD officers and ensuring that the Border Patrol officers on scene are actually engaging the occupants of the van. However, at one point, my supervisor is distracted by a female on the scene, and it is during this, out of view of the supervisor, that RPD officers do remove and handcuff some of the occupants of the van. Once the van is empty, the RPD personnel left the scene. As a result, I do not know the final outcome of those who were detained. I have reached out to Border Patrol today. I'm awaiting their response. So again, I don't know the identity of those folks. Again, as our policy, we respond and assist, and then we leave. So their names, their disposition, none of that was obtained. I intend to follow up on that tomorrow. So what they were wanted for, if it is possible that there was criminal warrants, I don't know. I can say based on what I saw in the video, there was no immediate criminal activity that we would have needed to address. The night after the incident, the lieutenant who was in charge actually debriefed all of his personnel, in fact, his entire command, on the situation and provided remedial training on our policies. He did this on his own. I actually have here, besides doing it verbally, he sent an email out, and I am going to read it simply because this does reiterate our policy, which I'm sure a lot of you may have questions on. So kind of two things at once here. Again, this is from the lieutenant directed to his subordinates. Yesterday, we were called to assist with Border Patrol on a traffic stop. Since we are a sanctuary city, we are very limited on what we do. Yesterday, the occupants refused to exit the vehicle. We were able to voluntarily get them to open the door, which the body-worn camera does say. Once that was completed, our job was done. If this happens again, we are not to remove people from vehicles. We are not to be handcuffing subjects. We are not to be doing pat frisks on subjects. And we are absolutely not going to be detaining them or putting them into our cars. Please make sure you have your body-worn cameras on at all times, from the time you exit the car to the time you get back in your car. The only time we will ever take any type of law enforcement action is for officer safety issues or exigent circumstances. And again, that was done the day after the incident. Since I have become aware of it, these officers, before they return to the road, are also going to receive additional training through the professional development section, even though it was already done, just to be certain. All of the sections will also be receiving additional training from the professional development section. In addition, the professional standards section will be conducting an incident review as per department policy. As chief, I am committed to ensuring the safety and protecting the rights of those in our community. Although we have policies and procedures in place, we are not perfect. We ask for patience as we strive to provide the police services that our community deserves. And I would like to reiterate, none of the officers will be back on patrol duty until the training is completed, which will be done in the next 48 to 72 hours, depending on their schedules. Thank you.
I'm going to have Councilmember Melendez say a few words. I wanted to make sure that council was in the loop on this immediately. And I'll have Councilman Melendez say a few words, and then we'll take any questions that we might be able to answer. But again, remember, this is like less than 24 hours, so we may not be able to answer a ton of questions right now. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for swift action. One of the things that I want to say as a Latino member of council is that we are hearing in our community that there is an uptick in what I'll call driving while Latino. And regardless of local policy, we know that there's federal actions that are being taken that are creating this discourse nationally. And unfortunately, I don't have the circumstances around this incident, so I don't want to assume anything here. I let the investigation run its course. But the reality is there's a lot more profiling, a lot more disdain for being Latino right now in this country. With that being said, we have a policy, and it is the responsibility of the council to ensure that we are following our policies and the administration to implement practices and procedures. And I'm appreciative of the chief immediately taking action to ensure that there is training, that there is an internal investigation and audit as to what has happened in this particular situation. However, I think that my message to the community is, if you do see something, please make sure that you are informing City Council, the Mayor's Office of Constituent Services, the Mayor himself, because we have a policy and we mean it. And we want to make sure that we are following what we say, what we put in as our position here in city government, and that to our community, we are supportive of everyone. With all that being said, if it comes out that there was a greater reason for this stop, certainly we also want to follow the law. But with that being said, to my people in the community, please let us know if there is incidences that involve local law enforcement so that we can be sure that we are all on the same page and hold each other accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is, I think, also an example of, to the council president's point, of individuals reaching out to the mayor's office when they see things. And in this community, I will tell you, since I've been in office, has just been excellent in terms of keeping us informed, be it turning somebody in who may have participated in violence or calling in about a drug house or incidents like this. So I hope that the community will continue to reach out to us and know that we will take action on them. Before I open it up for questions, this has been a very busy news week. In addition to this incident, I just want to remind folks that our thoughts and prayers are still with the incident that happened at School of the Arts 2 days ago. We are still processing that as a city, and want to remind people on April 12th about the mental health and substance abuse fair that we will be having at School of the Arts on the 12th. That tragedy, I think, brings to bear a lot of the challenges that we have with young people as it relates to mental health. I never thought that we would experience in a school building what we saw a couple of days ago, but we have to rise to the occasion to make sure we take care of our young people. But I will take any questions that you may have on this. And again, if we can't answer it, I don't believe in making stuff up. We will just tell you we don't have an answer, and we'll have to get it. But we'll answer based upon what we know and what we garnered in the past 24 hours, but really in the last couple of hours as the chief has been delving into this. So, any questions? Yes. I don't know if do we know the exact, do we,
I don't have the list in front. I don't have the list in front of me. The deputy chief was working on that for me, but it's approximately 10 or 11 that were on at the scene. We do have the names, and we're ensuring that the training is done. I just don't have them on me.
Are they all permanent investigation?
Well, again, the professional standards section will do an investigation on the incident, so anyone who is at the scene will be part of that investigation.
hold on, hold on, 1 second. Gino, and then there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to
Sorry.
make sure I'm trying to do it in the order in which people put their hands up. Go ahead.
Well, a couple things. First of all,
One question, and then I'll go to her and back. Your question.
So there were multiple people in the van, approximately 8. I haven't had time to review the footage to get a count of the folks that were in the van. And again, I'm trying to follow up with Border Patrol on that. I saw, again, just from cursory review, I believe 2 people were handcuffed, but I'm not going to say that's 100% because I want to go back and look at the videos some more.
Let's make sure we have the.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to make sure that if you have any specific questions, that we have the exact answer. I don't want to guess. I want to make sure that we have correct answers on any of those. Marcia, and then I'll go back to anybody else, and then Gino, I'll come back to you for one more and back over there. Go ahead. So you want to answer that?
As I said, the officers that from this incident that were on duty today are in training as we speak. The other officers that are not on duty will be in training before they go back out to the road.
But they're not on the road now.
But they are not on the road now.
Okay. Yes.
Well, again, good questions, and those are the questions in my mind. I said as I watched the body-worn camera footage, I don't have an exact count. I would like to get that from Border Patrol. I saw between 4 and 6, either Border Patrol officers or folks wearing HSI identification on them. That is exactly my question is they should have been there first and forefront. My officers should have ensured their safety and nothing more. And somehow that paradigm was shifted.
So, and again, a lot of these questions will have to come out with the investigation. This is extremely hot off the press, so we don't have all of the particulars yet, but we will get to the bottom of it. You got one more question? Yeah.
so let's say that in this circumstance, the investigation done has found that the officers involved were aware of the city policy, things very safely, still chose to aid Border Patrol what they were doing, and did so knowing the policy because they wanted to. What is the penalty? I mean, what is the response the department has to deal with officers? I don't think it's going to be the last time that happens.
Right. I think that we will have to determine that after we get to the investigation, and then we will obviously have to met out the penalty based upon the investigation. But to do conjecture or what ifs, it's just too early to know that. Mr. Finkelstein. I don't know if there's a timeline for release, but body-worn camera footage is public, so I'm sure it will be released at some point. We routinely release body-worn camera footage, so it probably will be released. Who else we got? Anybody else? Well, thank you all for assembling so quickly. Now, I tried to get you here close to 5 o'clock as possible because we have I know some of you guys may have to go back and then come back. We'll send another crew, but we have our diabetes awareness event that starts at, is that 5 o'clock? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock here, so you got some time to come back for that. But I really do appreciate you all assembling so quickly to come back. I know it was very last minute, but that's just how I roll. When I get information, I like to be able to put it out in real time, and that was the attempt to be able to do this here. As soon as I get it, I want to make sure I get it out because I'm sure that there were people that may have saw something like this individual that called my office. So we wanted to make sure that we were proactive. So I thank you all for your time and your patience. Thank you, everybody.